Acephysics.org, Math and Physics Tutoring with Dr. Hudis.
It's 2 weeks into the school year, my first year graduate school, and things are going pretty well. I passed the qualifying exams 2 days before school started, so I'm very happy. Classes are a little bit harder than I was expecting, but I'm confident that I can do well. I have a goal. I'd really like to get all A's this semester, but all I can do is try my hardest. And it is May 7th, 2015, and just a few days ago, I finished my first year of graduate school in the physics department at FSU. Yes, very excited about that, as you can see. Graduate school, physics graduate school, is broken up into two parts. The first part is coursework and passing the qualifying exams, and the second part is doing research and writing a dissertation. The first year, the focus is coursework. The full focus is on coursework and passing the qualifying exams also. Grades are important in the first year. You need to maintain a certain minimum GPA in order to stay in the program, and getting higher grades looks good for getting future jobs and to secure fellowships and grants. About half of the students in the first year take the core 3 graduate classes, and the other half of the students take a mixture of graduate and undergraduate classes. It's challenging to take the 3 core graduate classes because it requires a very strong understanding and background in undergraduate physics. I took the 3 core classes, and it was a challenging year but very rewarding. I learned a lot, and I'm going to just discuss the classes I took briefly. So I took a 1-semester class using this book. This book is called Classical Mechanics by Goldstein. I had a very demanding professor. This was a good class. I learned a ton in this class, and it's a good book. I feel confident with the material in this book. I don't know that I can necessarily go through and just solve every problem in the book on my own, but I can solve a lot of them on my own, and I learned a great deal in the class. Then I took a year-long course, 2 semesters, using this book right here. This book is called Principles of Quantum Mechanics by Ravi Shankar. We basically made it through this entire book. It's a 700-page book on quantum mechanics. This is a longer book on quantum mechanics than some of the other texts. It's a very good book. It was a fantastic class and a great professor, one of my favorite professors of all times, Jorge Pekarowitz. I learned a fantastically, amazingly large amount. I feel very confident with the material in this book. I can read through this book with relative ease and solve most of the problems in here on my own. Great class, great subject, good book, great professor. I also took a year-long course on classical electrodynamics using this book by David Jackson. You don't like to blame the professor for not learning, but I did not have a great professor for this class. He wasn't very clear, he wasn't very organized. I did learn in this class. I learned a lot about relativity and the relativistic Lorentz transformations of the electric and magnetic fields. Green's functions. I learned a little bit about the wave equation, but I would not say that I have great confidence just reading through this book, and I certainly wouldn't say that I can solve most of the problems on my own. They're difficult problems. I can solve many of them on my own, but not most of them. But it is what it is, and even though it wasn't the greatest class I've ever taken, I still did learn a lot, and it was a good class. I also took a semester-long class using these 2 books. Obviously, we didn't cover the material in both of these books, all of them. It was using a combination. This is a class on statistical mechanics, and this book is Statistical Mechanics, written by the famous Russian physicist Landau. And the other book that we used was a graduate book on the subject. This was the book Statistical Mechanics, written by Pathria. This is a very difficult book. I got an A in this class. and I learned a ton. This book here is hard to read. I don't think that this book is written very well. It's not written in a way that's easy to read, but the material in the book is very interesting. And I did learn a lot. We covered a lot of things such as Bose-Einstein condensates, ideal gases, and we also spent a lot of time on gases with interactions, not just ideal gases, but with dipole interactions, van der Waals interactions, a whole bunch of great stuff. As an undergrad, I took this class, which is statistical mechanics, and the book is Rife, Fundamentals of Statistical and Thermal Physics, written by Rife. And as an undergraduate, I really enjoyed this subject, but I found it very challenging and difficult, and I didn't understand a lot of it. Now I can read through this book, and it's not difficult. I can read through almost every chapter in this book, and I feel that I could solve most of the problems in this book on my own. And I've grown to really love the subject of thermal and statistical physics. It's a difficult subject, and there's a lot more that I have to learn in that subject, but it's a subject I do enjoy a lot. So my first year is over. I did well. I worked like crazy, worked like a dog all the time. I finished the second semester. I had 2 A's and a B+. I got a 3.75 GPA, and I finished the year with a 3.6 overall GPA. So I'm happy with that. It was one of the higher GPAs out of any of the first year students. It definitely wasn't the highest. There were certainly a few of the, I can think of at least one Chinese student who got a 4.0 GPA, and there may have been a couple others who did very well. But overall, I had a great year, and now it's time to start to transition into the research phase. I still have about 5 more classes to take. Next semester I will still be taking classes and focused on my coursework, but then that's when after the first semester of the second year, there's kind of like a phase transition where the focus just goes towards research and writing a dissertation, and a dissertation is a publication that reflects on one's research, and so you have to just take graduate school in steps, coursework, work hard on that, pass the qualifying exams. I was able to do that this year in my first try, a little more coursework, and then research. And so once I get into the research phase, I'll update you with how that's going.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jacob Hudis. If you need math or physics tutoring, please go to my website, acephysics.org, and book a lesson.